Boom.
And then do we look at the actual phone or each other?
Either or.
Yeah.
Just setting the scene for you, gang. Welcome to Lisa and I's first podcast together. It is our second episode of the Do Good, Feel Good podcast series, which is all about challenging the way we think about mental health and social impact. Lisa and I are obviously the co-founders of OneAnother. This is our first podcast, and we thought we'd take you right back 5, 6, 7 years ago to the very beginning of both of our stories and how the universe, I call it Gus, the great universal spirit, brought us all together. So tune in and let us know how we go.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for being here. So, did we decide we're going to start from the very beginning of the One Another journey? Okay. So, a few people that follow us and have followed us from the beginning will know this story all too well. But I think it's good, as you said, to set the theme so that people understand how we built the platform initially and how we came together. The universe brought us together. So, my part in One Another started 4.5 years ago, and I was stranded in Spain in March 2020. Basically, I'd gone on a work trip to Berlin and went to visit my family who lived in Spain. And 2 days after I landed, the world shut down. So I couldn't get home. The flights were cancelled, and me and my little boy Albie were over there with my grandma and my mum. And despite feeling very scared and a lot of unknown entities at play, I decided that I wanted to, I don't know, do something positive out of this crazy thing that was happening in the world. And I'd just been through an accelerator for another tech startup idea that had equipped me with the knowledge of how to mobilize people, how to use tools for an international team, and how to really leverage the Sydney startup ecosystem. So I did a call out to the Sydney startup page late in Spain and just said, I've got an idea for a kindness platform. Who wants to connect through the power of purpose and create a platform to do good? And to my complete surprise, overnight 50 people reached out, and these were senior devs, UX designers, marketeers. And within a week, we said, we talk about sprints in the tech world. This was like a lightning speed sprint. By the end of the week, we had a platform, a brand, an idea that had come to fruition. And then, yes, fast forward 6 months later, we had a kindness marketplace that was in market, where people could come together to do good and feel good and be there for one
another. Boom. One Another version 1
Yeah.
live. So why did you start that?
Yeah. So I think the why is so important, isn't it? Because it's what motivates you, and you need to always, I guess, come back to that. So for me, I'd had experiences where my mental health hadn't been in a place that I wanted it to be. And a large driver of that at certain times was loneliness. And I could see all of the videos online of, elderly people going to the supermarkets and the shelves being bare. And I was thinking of all my single friends that lived alone. And I basically just wanted to do what I could to prevent people feeling like what I did when I felt like I didn't have anybody. So yeah, that was my why. I had this knowledge. I'd just come out of this tech accelerator. I had this ecosystem I could leverage. So I figured, why not? I didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You were doing the tech accelerator for another idea.
Yeah.
So I guess what in you or what motivates you, I don't really like using the word entrepreneur, but it seems like you were having a bit of an entrepreneur spirit to create these ideas.
Yeah.
What is it and why are you sort of wanting to work for yourself per se?
Yeah. It's interesting. I've recently was diagnosed with ADHD, and that's made a lot of things make sense. So I've always had this philosophy that if I try something, if I fail, it's not a failure, it's a lesson. So I have these wild and crazy ideas, and I think, well, let's just give it a go and we'll see what happens. So I guess that's where my entrepreneurial spirit comes from, is I'm always willing to give something a go, because I'd rather try and fail and know than spend forever thinking, what if I'd have just tried it? And I've just been really lucky. Like my lifestyle platform, Social 101, looking back when I created that in 2010, it was about bringing people together who were new to Sydney, expats that wanted to find fun things to do. The previous startup with the accelerator was Parenting Social 101, pair entrepreneurs, bringing people who were new parents together who had lost their sense of self. And then OneAnother is all about bringing communities together who feel disconnected. So there's a theme that runs through.
Well, that's a good point. What is the theme for anyone who hasn't picked up? Human connection, which is actually why Lisa and I even connected in the first place, which is over at both of ours favourite book, which is Lost Connections by Johan Hari. For anyone listening who has not read it, reach out to us and we'll buy you a copy. It is unbelievable. What is your take and overview on Lost Connections? Essentially, mine is he articulates, and he's a much smarter cookie than any of us, but he goes into the details of this concept of disconnection being at the root cause of all of humans' mental health challenges. Lisa's articulated that we as humans were even experiencing loneliness before COVID, and we haven't had the opportunity for stats or research to come out post-COVID yet, but that has obviously had a detrimental effect to loneliness because we're disconnected from the workforce, disconnected from our neighbours. We're in isolation working on computers. Social media, disconnecting us from the present moment because we're comparing ourselves to other things. There's some good in social media, but in my personal opinion, there's a lot of not good in social media.
I agree.
What was your take on Lost Connections, the book?
Yeah, well, I read it. I'm trying to even think. One of my friends recommended it to me, and I'd already actually started OneAnother, and I think that's maybe why they recommended it. And every page that I read, every chapter, the more I got through the book, it just reinforced that why OneAnother is needed. And it's all about the misconceptions of depression and anxiety and why the world is more disconnected than ever before. And it's largely due to unmet needs and a disconnection from ourselves, from others, the community, nature. It really resonated with me, all the different elements of that. And I realised that a lot of it was true of myself as well. So it just relit that fire that I already had burning right anyway. That OneAnother was really going to make that positive change to bring people together again.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how we ended up meeting. So you've heard sort of brief insights into how version 1, OneAnother, was formed. Lisa had a personal challenge around loneliness and then saw loneliness skyrocket as COVID was happening. And an entrepreneurial spirit and motivation inspired 250 volunteers to create the platform as we know it. I, on the other hand, on the other side of the world, around the same time, did not know Lisa, did not know OneAnother, did not know about this movement of purpose, was on a very similar journey.
I know, it's crazy.
Which is crazy. So for those listening, I've been in sales my whole life. I lived in Sydney my whole life, but I moved over to Austin, Texas to work in sales, tech sales over there. But essentially, I was also building a company which was called 3 Helps, which is no longer. And why I was doing that is because I was trying to align a life which is to my purpose, which is to spread positivity. She was saying positivity before. Lisa and I have a lot of common and complementary and similar values and outlooks on life, which is obviously why we're sitting here.
Yeah.
But I was in sales, and ultimately that wasn't filling my cup. I had a very good lifestyle, I was making very good money, and I was traveling the world. Don't get me wrong, I was absolutely loving it, but that purpose was lacking. So I started 3 Helps, and I've always wanted to spread positivity and improve the well-being of others. So I created this website to have all mental health resources in one page: books, podcasts, charities to help out with, hotlines to call, just anything to do with well-being. And then, part of well-being is volunteering events. So I tried to put a bunch of Sydney volunteering events on a calendar on a website. It took me like 15 hours just to get 5. And I'm like, why is this so hard? I'm actively pursuing to do good, and it's been a nightmare.
Roadblock after roadblock after roadblock.
Just a nightmare. Roadblocks. Obviously, in today's world, any intention to do good, you hit a roadblock, we give up. So a light bulb went off, and I started doing more research into government research papers, essentially reviewing that loneliness is skyrocketing, suicide is skyrocketing, and I knew there had to be sort of two birds, one stone. Everyone knows if you do good, you feel good. So I was like, why not? Let's put this two and two together. My initial entrepreneurial spirit is essentially, why sell someone else's product when you can sell your own? I want to create a life where essentially time, flexibility is my number one definition of success. When I have kids, I want to be able to pick them up from school, go to sport, essentially do what I want on a daily basis.
Yeah, why not?
To put it very simply, how do you do that? Run your own company.
Absolutely, be your own boss. Or,
be your own boss.
Yeah, or provide the tools to be flexible so that you can do the job that you love whilst being able to give to your family and things that are important.
Because how long have you been your own boss?
So I started my PR agency 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I've been my own boss for 10 years. And I also had a side hustle in 2010, which was Social 101, that's still here to this day.
Yeah.
So I guess I've been my own boss since 2010, but while still working for the people, working fully on my own 10 years.
Yeah. And it is important. We're not saying everyone quit and become your own boss.
No, not at all.
Pros and cons for everything, depending on your personality type, your family, your finances, depending what you want in life.
Yeah, and there's no reason why you can't do a job that you've trained for, that is convenient, or you've got really solid career progression and that's what fills your cup up as well. There's no reason why you can't supplement that with finding your purpose in that role, whether you're doing corporate volunteering, giving back, which obviously we help with now, or having side hustles or projects that fill that cup up for you. I think we're in a world now where you don't just have to do the one job, and have the blinkers on. And that's what I love about what we're doing. We're empowering people to have both, have the best of both worlds.
Yeah. And we're seeing a lot of the best talent in today's world are fractional workers. Our developer, Chad, is a legend. He's an amazing developer and he works fractional hours for a whole range of different companies. Why? To get different insights, different power, to work on his own terms. We are seeing this sort of shift in the way we work. But ultimately, 3 helps for the early stage investors. Thank you, Ali King, Steph King, Sam Archibald, a few of the early stage investors who backed me. 3 helps is the name for helping yourself, helping others, and helping charities. Ultimately, that didn't stick. We changed to OneAnother, but that whole premise was make volunteering easy, remove all the roadblocks so we can increase global happiness.
Yeah.
Volunteering is obviously just another form of human connection, which is what we will always come back to as our number one core priority in our business and in anything we do, is bringing humans together. But how we came together was the universe. I was doing an accelerator program with Sam Cuss and the Hyper team, and essentially Lisa had the app, the developer, and this team of these amazing, highly skilled workers. And I had a bit more of the business model, back-end financial planning, and I think that's about it.
But I think that's the beauty of it, right? Because our skill set, whilst we're so similar personality types and our values are very much aligned, we have complementary skill sets, and we also had complementary stages of where we were. So I think that's why it worked. Yeah, you had the acumen to be able to scale, and whereas I feel like I had the brand and marketing and the network and the traction so far to create a movement. So bringing those two together is kind of like not the perfect storm. What's another analogy for like?
That's cool. I always bring it back to the universe.
Yeah, the universe. Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely serendipitous. I mean, we met on a capital raising webinar by Cake Equity. Were you in Austin when you were on that?
I think I was. Oh no, I might have been in Sydney, but my LinkedIn was Austin, and we went around the table, not the table, the online table, and essentially we had like one sentence about to say what we were doing, and I said, "I love Lost Connections. I'm building a company around Lost Connections." 5 minutes later, Lisa said, "I've already built a company. Lost Connections, my favorite book." So we both heard that. We both think. I think you pinged me.
Yeah.
I was like, "Lost Connections, Johan Hari." I'm like, "Yeah, love it."
Yeah.
And then we had our initial chat, and I think tell the story how you thought I was living.
Yeah, because when we linked in, you were listed as in Austin, Texas. So we had the commonality of lost connections and building something similar. I was like, can't hurt to reach out. I'm all about collaboration, as is Chris, over competition if we're working towards a common goal. So yeah, we jumped on the phone, didn't we? And I said, was it on the phone or a Zoom chat, something? And you were like, let's meet for a coffee and like chat. And I was like, well, I'm very happy to meet you for a coffee, Chris, but Austin, Texas is a long way for me to go. You come to me. And then it turns out Chris's parents live in Mossman and I live in this beautiful place in Mossman and I live in Manly. So we were literally an 8-minute drive away. So yeah, definitely meant to be. And then when we met that first time, we realised how much our mission was aligned and our purpose was the same. Thank God.
And I think this is an important point, for anyone who are founders, teamwork and a team is so important. So we spent probably a month or even a few months not even really talking about the business, actually just talking about what we do for fun, what our purpose, personality, values, essentially just who we are as individuals.
We were getting to know one another.
Yeah, or dating, or business dating.
We were, but that's so important because I remember you said at the beginning, and it's absolutely right, we need to know that we get along and that we can have those hard conversations and that we're working towards the same goal. Because running a business together with the vision, the lofty vision and mission that we have, it's like a marriage, and we need to be able to communicate effectively. And it's the same parameters, I would say, as if, when you're in a romantic relationship, you need to be able, communication is key, and being able to have those hard conversations sometimes.
Yeah.
And being able to hold each other to account as well. And I don't think you can do that if you haven't just got a real authentic connection.
Yeah, and teamwork and collaboration. Yeah. We've always have a better chance. I've played rugby and team sports my whole life. So anyone listening, thinking you may want a co-founder or a team, 100% teamwork, in my opinion, depending on obviously your certain circumstances, is always better.
Yeah.
Because then ultimately we did have the business conversation, which is essentially Lisa had the tech and the developers and I had that business plan. We came together 50-50, easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
And then that was about 2 years ago?
It's 2.5 years ago. Well, it would have been 2 years ago, you're right, because we met in January 22, and then we spent 4 to 6 months working together to see how, before we committed to anything, to see how we did gel. So yeah, it would have been about July 2022, so it's 2 years.
Yeah, boom. And ultimately, we now have OneAnother 2.0. So for those who have been with us from the get-go, thank you for being with us on the journey.
Thank you.
And essentially what 2.0 is all forms of human connection in the one platform. Ultimately, there is informal connection, which is all about helping your neighbors or your sporting teams or anyone in your community who is another individual. It's essentially what Facebook is commonly used for today in the older demographic. Obviously, not many of the younger demographic are using Facebook. So members can go on there, post an offer of help or request of help, and then the tech matches the two based on your profile. And then us two coming together, we brought in charity help, which is called as formal help.
Yep.
So we partner with about 90 charities across Sydney and a few other states as well. We've got a whole range of virtual opportunities, but essentially you can search for ways to give back through a charity. So whether that's Ocean Heroes, one of our preferred charity, which is helping kids with autism learn how to surf.
Such a beautiful initiative.
Lisa's done that multiple times.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's so good. And then there's connected.au, which is writing letters to elderly Australians that feel alone. So that definitely resonates with me. I used to write letters to my granny. She passed away, sadly, years ago. So to be able to do that means the world. And yeah, there's so many, when you think about charities, you can make assumptions, but there are so many opportunities out there to give back. And one thing that I love that's working really well for us in terms of bringing people together and connecting is the community connection events. So you can connect over self-care, so whether it's a sound bath, doing a gym session or meditation, but then afterwards there's an element where you give back as well. So you do good, you feel good, and you walk away knowing that you've helped somebody as well. So yeah, the 2.0 I think is just kind of like everything that we're passionate about coming together.
Yeah.
It's great to see.
And we're just about to enter we have recently entered 3.0 or 2.5. So essentially what we're talking about is the direct-to-consumer free mobile app, which is live. Everyone get in there. We've got about 3,500 members, about 90 different charities. We've had about 200 completed events. So we're working well. And in full transparency, we've raised about 100 grand, which is not much in the scheme of things for anyone who knows development. The key thing to highlight here is OneAnother was built by skilled volunteers and skilled people who understood and related to our cause of giving back and human connection. So Chad.
We've got Adam Heaney, there was Jacqueline Ding, who was an incredible UX designer. She trained up Matt Hin, who is now making amazing waves in the UX space. There was Mel Huxley,
Jacob, Chanel.
There's so many people that have been involved along the way. And yeah, I guess like our 2.5 version, the wonderful thing is we're working with corporates and individuals to empower them to do the same. So you can use your skill set for good, to help out other people, which is a different way of the traditional formal volunteering, but very much about connection and giving back.
So we've just launched this corporate offering, and essentially that is around another way to do team bonding and team cultural events with a focus of doing good so you feel good. So essentially we approach corporates and we go, hey, how often do you take your team to the pub for team culture? I've been in sales, I know it's at least once a month. How often do you take your team to go-karting, to tenpin bowling? Or lawn bowls. They're probably the 4 things that every single company and every single team do at least once a month or at least once a quarter, and people are getting over it. What are the next generation wanting?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Speaking to a lot of the participants in our community events, a lot of people are moving towards drinking less alcohol. So, with traditional team building has been, let's go for a piss up. People don't want that anymore. They want something that actually fills their cup up and, makes them feel good. I think that's really interesting that people want more from their companies, and they want a culture that actually is authentic as well, that listens to them. And actually is able to customize the way that they build culture for the individual as well. Because there are still people that love going to the pub, when they've hit their sales targets, going on a 10-course degustation lunch, at Cafe Sydney is 100% what they want to do, and that's fine. But there are also people that want to go and do a letter writing session or anything they want to that gives back.
Yeah, ultimately people are drinking less and wanting to do well-being. So I guess this is a perfect opportunity to say we've recently been sponsored by Heaps Normal. And who's your wine company?
Altina Drinks.
Altina Drinks. So they're all about supporting the movement, in-person, real-life events around doing good. And some events will obviously have a few beers, alcoholic beers afterwards. Other events we have drinks catered by these 2 amazing sponsors. So thank you.
I think it's all about moderation, isn't it? Like, we're not saying in order to have fun, you need to remove alcohol. That's not the case. It's just that every...
Because if you were saying that, I'll bring up a few photos or a few stories.
Oh my gosh,
you'll be in trouble. You and I both.
Well, I'm from Manchester and I moved to Australia. I had no chance. There was no hope. But yeah, it's just about listening to your organisation and your workforce and understanding that not everybody wants the same thing, and being able to adapt and reward people in a way that they feel is beneficial for them.
And we recently went to the Thriving Workplace Conference, which is essentially surrounded by good humans, good brands, good people who are wanting their employees to thrive. And I think it was Kevin said it well. It was like, when you hear your employees or your friends or your colleagues, on a Wednesday or a Friday afternoon going, I can't wait for the weekend, or a Sunday night going, God, I can't be bothered to go to work. That's not good.
No, it's not good at all. Who wants to live like that?
Yeah.
But people do. People are living like that, and I don't believe that's what we were put here to do.
Yeah. And so this conference was around transforming that to, I want to go to work on a Monday, or I can't wait to go to work, essentially empower employees to thrive. And it was, what role do companies play ensuring their employees thrive? And it's simple. A lot of people, and a lot of the key takeaways from the conference was, we're all humans at the end of the day. Managers, CEOs, leaders, we are all brothers, sisters, family, fathers, daughters, mothers. We're all humans. So be compassionate, be present, be judgmental free, and ultimately just look after one another.
100%.
And that creates, I can't remember the stat, but it was a lot of employees are struggling mentally, but none of them have the confidence to speak to their employers about that,
Yeah,
which is shocking.
it is really bad when you're not in a nurturing place in a corporate environment to be able to say, I'm at burnout, or, they're leaving it until they do burn out. And that's just not good whatsoever. They need to be able to put the hand up and say, I need help, or things need to change. And we're hopefully assisting with facilitating that so that people can.
Yeah, and I loved it. Lisa, at this conference in front of 150 HR reps, got up there on stage and called out and challenged everyone essentially with this concept of lip service, and challenging them to actually put their money where their mouth is and actually implement all of these strategies they're doing. So what did you say? How did it make you feel? Because it got me going. I think you had a few tears up on stage.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, I unleashed the beast. I think it was after, there were some amazing speakers throughout the conference, and we met incredible people. There seemed to be a lot more service providers there that are wanting to make the change and that are feeling a little bit frustrated that organisations say that they want to be the change they want to see and they want to implement these tools, but then when it comes to actually signing on the bottom line, they disappear, or there's crickets. It's lip service. So the more I was talking on stage about, the importance of nurturing your people and providing a culture where people feel empowered, I basically told a room full of people that I was sick to the back teeth of them.
Yeah, love it.
And I was like, it's lip service. And it was interesting because afterwards there were so many people that came up to me that was like, well done, something needed to be said. And I don't know why I took it upon myself to say it, but I did.
Yeah. Well, we do know why, because we want to challenge the status quo. The status quo is not working.
No, it's not.
Team culture plummeting, suicide, anxiety, loneliness, depression, all heading up in the wrong, skyrocketing in the wrong direction.
It really is. And the landscape at the moment, people are being made redundant left, right, and centre. There was a stat we came across that something like 80% of the workforce are going to be self-employed by 2028. So now is the time where organisations, if they want to attract the best talent and they want to retain that talent, to be able to make their teams as effective as possible, they need to invest in culture. And that isn't a vitamin problem, it's a painkiller problem. People are going to want to work for organisations that make them feel empowered, not disempowered to even say, hey, I need to take a moment, I'm overwhelmed.
What is it? Culture eats strategy for breakfast.
That's correct.
It's interesting. And we do talk to some of these companies, do you want to mobilize your employee volunteering days? And if you go, why would I want my staff outside of the office, when they should be working? And unfortunately, these are some of more of the old school companies, which are still capitalistic, money at all costs, profits at all costs. We are on the cusp of a transition where it's people at all costs. People buy from people. If you don't have a people-led culture, people won't work for you and customers won't buy from you. It's simple as that. Obviously, Lisa and I are very passionate about these conversations, so when we do challenge and potentially come across as aggressive, it's not.
No, it's just, we're just passionate. We're the least aggressive people. Yeah. I think in the world, we're very passionate about wanting to make a difference, I think. And we can see the value that it brings, not only for the individual, for the employee, but for the organisation as well. And then also for the people that they're helping as a result as well, whether it's a charity, individual, or a cause. It's a no-brainer from my perspective, and that's why I get frustrated, because I'm like, why are people not jumping hand over fist to implement initiatives like this? Because everybody wins.
Well, that's a good point. Why aren't they? One of our key business offerings is the education piece. We believe from a business point of view, we have 3 core categories. The first category is education. If we can educate corporate and every individual and every human on this planet, the benefits of doing good, the benefits of human connection, the benefits of giving back, the benefits of living your purpose, that's the first piece. Everyone's aware.
Yeah.
The second piece is the technology, which makes all of that easy, which connects you to ways to give back. And the third piece is the inspiration. We can make it cool, aka these amazing hats.
Yeah.
If your friends do it, if your colleagues do it, if there's that fear of missing out, if we execute each one of those three pillars, we strongly believe there is no reason why every single human on this planet would not give back at least once a year. We want it to be once a month.
Absolutely, and we see it when people come to our events or go to a charity event or group activity, whatever it is. The way that their face lights up after it's like literally the happiness shines out of them like sunbeams, and it's so authentic. There was the girl who did the AOK Woolloomooloo charity, Macy.
Maisie, yeah, of
Oh,
course.
Maisie.
Shout out Maisie.
Oh, Maisie, when I watch your video, it makes my heart sing when she says it makes it feel all sparkly.
Oh,
and I'm like, that's how everybody feels when they do good. Like, it literally makes them sparkle. And I think she just, was the embodiment of why we do this.
Yeah. Yeah, well, shout out Maisie. So then, for you personally, or even one another, what does the next 6 months look like?
Well, we'd love to get our first customer locked in. So we have.
We're not desperate, sorry. We're chasing it.
Yeah, we're chasing it.
Yeah.
Because we want to prove that what we have works, right? So there is an element of desperation there because we know what we've got will work, so we want to prove it. Getting customers on board and then creating a movement. So in the next 6 months, I'd love to see us get over 10,000 members on the platform, and I'd love to see those connections go up to over 1,000. That's kind of like what I see as metrics for success over the next 6 months.
You've heard it here directly from her. The only way any of this is ever going to work, is the help of you amazing people. So we have started what we're calling our Karma Squad, which is essentially our good human community. We have a WhatsApp group. There's about 50 in our Karma Squad, and they're just everyday good humans helping us out. Toby Tank, Dee, Ali King, Steph King.
Yeah.
There's plenty of good names in there helping our cause. So I guess my question to you guys, if you work for a company and you are either a direct manager or you lead a team and you do team bonding events, which is typically going to the pub or go-karting, and you're looking for a new way to bring the team together, please introduce us. We offer a service where we essentially organize the team event for you, do the heavy lifting. We come and make sure the event runs smoothly. We can shoot some content if you want that. Essentially just everyone having a good time, which is obviously what we're all about.
Yep.
Because the more people hear about us, the more events that we do, it's just that snowball effect. So we, do have a cultural impact and a lasting impact on the globe, because human connection is a basic need of life. And unfortunately, we are very disconnected at the moment. So OneAnother, and there is a lot of great organizations out there promoting connection. For anyone single, Thursday date night, they're a new dating app and events app, which I just had a conversation with them last week. I think it might have been this week. But they do single date events only on Thursday. And the dating app only works on Thursday.
I love that.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I might have to give it a download.
Yeah. I can't tell my beautiful girlfriend waiting at home. Hello, Darcy. Shout out.
I should give that a download for sure.
Yeah, and check it out.
But it's great to see there are so many initiatives now out there now where people are connecting in real life. They're going away from the apps in droves. There's like the No Swipes app where there's events where people can meet. And it definitely makes me happy to see like the likes of Class Bento are doing so well because they're bringing events in real life to people so they can connect outside of the screen.
Simple as that.
Yep.
So thank you for tuning in to our Do Good, Feel Good podcast. It's important that we are doing this to add value to your lives, our listeners. So please reply or hit us up or leave a comment where what you want to hear, any feedback, anything. We're open to it all. Hopefully this gave you some good insights about the power of the universe and how Lisa and I came together. And honestly, this is just the beginning. So strap yourself in and enjoy the ride.
Watch this space.
Boom. Tune out.
Thank you.
Love it.